Hi, I'm Larissa Vale from Black Satellite. This is We Go to 11 on KNAC.com.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
So, you guys have a new album, and that just came out September 5th, and it's called Aftermath. I was familiar with the tune Downfall because that was featured pretty regular rotation on Octane on Sirius. So, when listening to something heavy, I always throw it on there and heard the tune. So tell us about the record, and you guys have an upcoming tour, which is a big deal.
Yeah, so this record, it was a lot of years in the making, COVID kind of messed things up for a lot of people, but we took that as an opportunity and we were inspired to write more music. And so we kind of added on to it, and Downfall being one of the new songs that came out of that. So it's a happy little accident. And yeah, we do have an upcoming tour. It's with Mushroomhead starting in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire on October 10th all the way through November 1st. And we're really excited for that.
And you guys, I mean, you've landed some pretty high profile supporting roles. I mean, I know you did something with Manson, so that must have been mind blowing, huh?
It was. I mean, it didn't even hit me, and we had like two shows left. Like we'd almost completed the whole tour, and I was like, I still can't believe it. It just feels like a dream almost. Like I'm like, man,
Right.
we actually did that. That was really cool.
Right, right. And so with this, how familiar are you with Mushroomhead? I know I've caught them a few times over the time that they've been in existence. It's been a bit since I've seen them, but they put on a hell of a show.
I have not seen them live, so that's one of the first things I'm looking forward to.
Are you a fan of their music? Imagine.
I never really listened to it,
Hmm.
so this is a good
Good
opportunity for me.
opportunity, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So one of the other, you have, I think, two videos for this record. The other one's Kill for You. So pretty intense stuff in all the videos.
Yeah, so I always like to step it up, especially, in the visual component as well. And I like to kind of conquer my fears in music videos.
Mhm.
So, back in the day, we had a music video where I actually buried myself alive. And, I did that for real. In a shallow grave, of course, I could still crawl out and not actually
Right.
suffocate to death, try to be safe.
Jeez.
But in this case, for the Kill For You video, I was like, okay, well, what
Mhm.
else? Well, I'm terrified of spiders. And I
Right.
was like, okay, great. Well, let's put a tarantula on my face. Why not?
Jeez.
You know?
So out of curiosity, did that really help conquer that particular fear? I mean, how do you feel about it now post video, that you've done that?
I still really don't like little house spiders that I see. And I
Right.
find I catch myself like jumping. I'm like, ah, and I'm like, what are you doing? You literally had a tarantula like crawl
Right.
across your mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I think maybe if I were to see another tarantula, I'd not like have so much anxiety,
Hmm.
I did get more comfortable as we were shooting.
Okay.
Because then we had to do those scenes where I'm like singing the song and it's like
Hmm.
crawling in my hand, and then my director's like, all right, look right at it. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding this now.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I was just kind of forced to cope with it.
Jeez. Now, what was the reaction of the band? Because I'm sure they were pretty familiar with the fact that you had that fear of spiders. What do they call that? Arachnophobia or something?
Yeah, exactly. No, everyone else thought the spider was really cool. Like, I guess I was the only one freaking out, with the exception of my director. I think
Right.
he's also maybe equally, if not just a slightly less terrified of spiders. And he was like, "Okay, cool. Let's shoot the video, but don't get that thing anywhere near me," And
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
it was hilarious.
Now, what's your thoughts on snakes? I mean, is that in the next video, conquering the fear of snakes?
So it's funny that you mentioned that because we did a Rammstein cover of Zona. And if you go look at the music video for that, I actually covered myself in 15 live snakes.
Oh, geez. No, I mean, I know I was reading in the press release you covered that song. I now have to go back and watch the video.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, and at one point there's a snake and it's like
Mhm.
it like sticks its tongue out and it like licks my eyelash.
So not CGI type thing. It was the legit
No.
snake.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's like a bunch of different varieties of them.
Okay.
And at one point, there's this like tiny little black snake, and it just went missing. And we're like, "Oh my God, where is it?" And it was in like someone's jacket pocket.
Oh no.
So we found all the snakes.
Yeah. Wow. So, speaking of covers, though, because you guys, I mean, I guess, first of all, a two-part question. How would you describe the music, I think, to somebody that hasn't ever experienced the band, heard the band Black Satellite? Because there is this industrial spin to it, but it also has elements of goth and modern rock to it. Um, that's the first part of the question. The other part has to do with you guys tackling, and this I did hear the a couple typo negative covers, which was pretty cool. So I don't know which one you want to tackle first, and if you forgot the question, I'll repeat whichever one you didn't address.
So you're right. Our sound is a conglomerate of a lot of different inspirations. It's kind of just absorbing all of the coolest parts. Like when I all of my favorite artists growing up, and you just you put all of those little pieces together. But also, I think it's really important to not try to emulate one sound or another artist or anything like that. I mean, it's nearly impossible to be completely original nowadays, with just the decades and centuries of music being created and all the influences. Yeah, so you're bringing that inherently with you when you go into the studio. But I think it's really important for me to just block it all out and just write music about how I'm feeling and sing how I feel and just try to be as authentic and vulnerable as possible. And so I think that's where you kind of come up with this really interesting blend, of all of those things without trying to, like consciously focus on like putting yourself in a box or, oh, I want it to sound like this, just letting it naturally unfold in the artistic process.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing with the typo covers, it was like in between records and we did those covers and it was a really great exploratory experience because it's like, okay, well, now we're doing someone else's song for the first time. So there's
Right.
no expectation, to sound like us or whatever that is. Not that it was even important, after our debut record. We're
Mhm.
still figuring that out, as artists are constantly evolving and growing. But now we had, the chance to do something fun with it. So it's kind of what started to go in this like heavier direction, that you're kind of seeing with Aftermath. It's
Mhm.
just it's also that process of just being fearless and free to try different things, and then I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. I want to write more songs like kind of in this realm because if you listen to the covers, we actually like for I Don't Want to Be Me, we rewrote all the instrumentals
Right.
basically and just kind of made it like heavier kind of a thing and, vocally as well. And so, yeah, that was kind of the segue into
Right.
sound we developed with Aftermath.
Yeah, after listening to those, I'm like, I'd be up for an EP of like reworked typo songs. I mean, what would be another one that you guys you'd like to potentially, maybe somewhere down the road, tackle? Is there one in mind that you're like, I really want to take a shot at that one?
Like just any cover in general.
Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
anything.
no, I know exactly what it is, but I'm not going to say it.
It's in the works, is it?
It's it's
Potentially?
it's not in the works, but
Okay.
it's a plan of mine, and
Okay.
I already know that like okay, when I feel like I want to put another song out,
Okay.
I want to do a cover. I already know which one I want to do.
Wow. So you're okay. What about
But
what if it was another typo? Like what would be another typo that you're like that would fit in perfectly with these ones that you guys have cut?
I think the fact that we did two type of O covers is already a lot.
Hmm.
It was just a thing that I couldn't choose between those two.
Hmm.
So we released them at the same time on the same day,
Yeah.
and they premiered a week apart. So I don't think I'm gonna do another typo cover. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah. Mixing it up, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. you mentioned industrial. I mean, for yourself, there are those industrial elements of this band. What are some of your favorite go-to industrial bands? I mean, there's a lot of great ones, especially right around there in the '90s. I mean, it was just kind of all sorts of great industrial music coming out. Early '80s, even with Ministry being the pioneers. You know, Skinny Puppy and the like.
Well, I mean, obviously, like Nine Inch Nails and, Marilyn Manson and that kind of thing.
Yeah, those are your go-to.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on like bands like I don't know if you're familiar with like some of the more melodic bands that incorporate some of the industrial influences like Stabbing Westward or what's that other one? Gravity Kills. Those are all bands from the '90s. So, that's like the second wave of that genre.
Right. I never really listened to those kinds of bands. I feel like I kind of just live under a rock.
Hey, whatever works. I mean, that in a way, sometimes that's a benefit because then you don't mimic or copy anybody else,
hmm
right? So
Yeah.
nice. So the other thing too is I was watching something and I think you shared the stage with Cooper, Alice Cooper, and I think
I
with Nita
did.
Strauss. What, how did that all come down? Because I think you guys were supporting uh Nita Strauss or something, right?
Yeah, we were on tour with Nita Strauss, and a week before the tour, she DMs me on Instagram, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to do a song together? I listened to your Rammstein cover, and I love your voice, and I think it'd be really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And she was like, "Okay, well, why don't you learn Feed My Frankenstein, and
Oh, wow.
we'll do it together during my set, every day of the tour." And so we had done like 40 shows together or something, and every night I would, during her set, I'd sing the song. And then one night we were in Phoenix, and that's where Alice Cooper lives. And, I load into the venue and I'm walking into the green room, and she's like, "Oh, Larissa, great timing. I want you to meet somebody." And I turn the corner, and there's Alice Cooper with his wife sitting on the couch. And
Wow.
I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
not what I was expecting."
right.
Um, but he was really cool, really nice. And she was like, "Hey, so guys, I have this idea. Like, I want, Alice Cooper to come on stage
Mhm.
during the second verse because everyone's going to know, Larissa, that you're doing the song with me night to night, but they have no idea that he's here. So we'll do like a little gag thing where he'll come up and be like, 'Give me the microphone,' and just
Right.
like shock everybody and surprise the whole crowd." And then I was like, "Okay, great." And I'm so funny. Like I don't really get nervous or stressed out or tripped up by anything like that. So like my whole band and crew, they're all like freaking out for me. They're like, "Oh my God, you're gonna sing on stage with
Mhm.
Alice Cooper." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. This is great." I just want to make sure I soak in the moment and
Right.
just thoroughly enjoy myself as much as possible, not like be anxious
Mhm.
about it. Because yeah, I've never gotten stage fright in my life. So
Wow.
it's like, okay, well, this is gonna be great. Um, and so I start singing the song, and he's standing there side stage watching me sing his song. And then, comes up and, we share a microphone arm in arm and do the whole song. Everyone freaks out. And then at the end, he gave me a hug side stage and like patted me in the back. And he was just like, "You did good."
Nice.
So that was a really
Wow.
cool moment.
But no stage fright for you, huh?
No.
Wow. So, and what was your first time ever on stage? Like about what age? I mean, were you pretty calm with that particular environment from the
Yeah,
get-go?
I mean, when I was in elementary school,
Mhm.
I was in like choir and
Okay.
drama class, and I'd always been playing guitar and cello and various instruments. I was used to performing.
Yeah. So it's just kind of familiar ground for you.
Yeah.
Nice. One of the things that I would ask, somebody snuck me this question. It's like, you have to ask her because I think you were involved or attended some fashion week event type thing. I don't know if it was this year, last year, but how did you get invited to that, and what was that experience like? Because that's totally, different, out of the ordinary of music.
Right. So I love fashions.
Mhm.
Fashion. It's one of my passions as well. Always has been. So I actually got invited to Paris Fashion Week last year and this year. I
Wow.
just went in March
Okay.
last time, and the funny thing is, my brother got invited, and he was just like, "Hey, you want to go with me?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely."
Okay.
This was last year, and so I'm just kind of his little travel buddy, and so we went again this year, and we got invited by Alexander McQueen, and this year I got to go to Alexander McQueen and Rick Owens, so they're
Okay.
like two of my favorite designers, and that was really awesome.
Wow.
And it's just such a like it's just such an unusual experience because, like you said, it's so different from the
Right.
world that I'm used to. I mean, I'm not used to it, but it's very different from the music industry.
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like all of the press and the hype around it. And yeah, but I love it. I mean, I love attending those events, because that is a form of artistic expression as well. And it's not just the fashion, it's the whole collection
Hmm.
and, the music and the venues and, the private dinners and the cocktail parties. Everything is just so thematic.
Hmm.
Uh, and I love that level of detail and attention to it, and
Sure.
then getting to meet the team that's involved and, your favorite designers and the creative directors and everything like that. It just brings a whole another level and dimension to something that I already love, which is
Right.
just so cool to me.
Out of curiosity, I'm guessing this is not the case, but I think oftentimes when people stereotype other people, so I mean, are these fashion people in this fashion world uptight? I would imagine not, but I think that's sometimes the stereotype. And you haven't been there, and witnessed it. What's that like? I mean, what are those people like? What's that environment like?
I don't even know if I am like the right person to ask, I just
Hmm.
feel like I'm from the outside looking in, and all the people like within the companies,
Hmm.
that I get invited by, like they're very like warm and friendly,
Hmm.
we hang out and go to dinners and stuff like that. So that's just like really different,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really make an
Right.
accurate judgment,
Right.
because anything that I say would probably be just, anyone else's like biased opinion without really
Sure.
knowing the history.
Right. Right. So, all right. So I did mention that I was going to ask you to share a Spinal Tap-esque type story. And being that, you're in a band and you've been on stage, this could go as far back as, early on when you were doing any of those school recitals or performances or anything of that nature. Have you ever had a stage mishap? And if so, what was that like?
I have had some stage mishaps, a few, maybe several.
Okay.
Everybody does.
Sure.
Okay, there was this one moment we were playing with Cradle of Filth and Devil Driver. It was in 2023 and it was in Wichita, Kansas. It was like the first pretty bad fall I'd taken on stage.
Ouch.
So we have these stage risers in the front. And, I go to jump up on the stage riser and I wear these Doc Marten boots. And the edge of my boot like hit the edge of the riser instead of stepping onto it. So I completely like face planted. And like I had my microphone in my hand and it's one of those Shure Super 55, like the old school looking ones, and it's like this giant
Right.
metal brick, like, and I land on the metal riser and it like throat punches me like that. And I hit this my side of my ribs right on the metal riser. And I'm like dangling off the front of the stage because the riser's right up at the front. And I'm like on this platform. So I'm trying to like reach and grab
Mm.
the edge of the stage to like pull myself back up. And I look and the security guard's just standing there and he like looks at me and just shrugs. And I'm like, hello, can you
Oh,
like
wow.
give me a hand
Yeah, you're
here?
kidding.
Like, what the
Oh,
hell?
wow.
I need to continue this. This is in the
Sure.
middle of the song. This is in the
Oh,
middle of
boy.
like the second verse.
Hmm.
And so there's just no vocals. And I finally throw my body weight back up,
Hmm.
and I just continue singing, even though like I just
Ouch.
got throat punched and I'm like, can't breathe. And I'm like, oh God, my side hurts. Like, I don't know what the hell just happened. I just get through it anyway.
Right.
And yeah, after the show,
Oh.
I I went and like inspected the damage and it was
Hmm.
like all bruised up on the side. And I was like, oh
Ouch.
shit, that was a bad one.
No broken ribs, though.
No, no broken ribs. I would
Good for
definitely
you.
know I broke a rib. Yeah, I got lucky, but I was all scuffed up for sure.
Oh my God. Well, that's a good one. So, a record is Aftermath. Pretty cool stuff. I think anybody that's into gothic, modern rock, industrial, is really going to enjoy it. And like we've said, you know, in our conversation here, you have Kill for You is the latest. Check out that video. I'm going to go back and check out the Rammstein cover, because now in our snake discussion, I got to see that snake, you know, hissing at your face or whatever. And then Downfall, which, you know, has been all over Octane, you know, since the spring, I believe. And then you have this upcoming tour with Mushroomhead, and safe travels there, and best to you. This tour, I don't believe, is coming out to the Northwest, but I hope to catch you guys at some point when you
I
get
know, I know. This is like one of the first tours that's not really going
Mhm.
outside of the East Coast and the Midwest, which is kind of surprising. Normally we go a little bit south, a little West
Yeah.
Coast, you know.
But I'm sure, I mean, I'm out in the Oregon, so out in the Portland, Oregon area, huge for this type of music. So I'm sure eventually you guys will connect with somebody. and
We
make it out
played in
west.
Portland before,
Right.
so I'm sure we
Yeah.
will again.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, take care. Thank you so much for your time. Safe travels, and we'll get you guys a link. All right.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Take care.
Bye.
Right. Bye.